Bobby here, Snooper's Corner. I'm sorry I've been gone for a week or 2 weeks or so. I'm sorry. Just been busy. Um, Guys, this is horrible. Just finished watching, well, not really watching, kind of glimpsing at episode 8 of The Acolyte. Um, Guys, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for saying this. Excuse my language. But episode 8 was fucking garbage. That's an honest opinion. Was garbage. Okay? They totally pissed on the lore. They pissed on everything George Lucas laid down all those years ago. They totally just rewrote everything that fans have come to love and ignore and appreciate from Star Wars. This is my honest opinion, guys. This show should have never been done. It should have been canned, and they should have took it back to the drawing board. This show was horrible. Okay? I've been watching Star Wars since I could walk. Okay? I grew up with the George Lucas films. Okay? I grew up watching the originals. I grew up watching the prequels. You know, George Lucas set down a line and he knew where it was going to go. He knew how it was going to be. And the Acolyte just stepped on it, squished it into the floor, and flushed it directly down the toilet. Disney has destroyed Star Wars. Okay? I hate to say it. You know, I used to be a Disney fan. I used to love Disney. I used to think Disney could not do no wrong. Well, I was wrong. Disney has just crapped Star Wars down the toilet. And they don't even see it. They're so caught up in their own self-well-being that they don't see that they just took the number one IP they have that could have made them billions of dollars, and they flushed it down the toilet with this series. And if you don't believe me, go look it up, and you'll see it. If you haven't seen it yet, don't watch it, because I'm not telling you to go watch this show. This show is something that I could never, ever agree with, because they broke so many rules. They broke so many laws in Star Wars. They basically crapped on the lore. Okay? And then whatever lore they left intact didn't make sense. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I watched the entire 8 episodes. No, I did not. I did not watch the entire 8 episodes. I glanced at the last episode. I glanced at it because, as a Star Wars fan, I'm hurt. It hurts. We're all hurting. Okay? They took an IP that we all love. And I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that feel the same way. They shouldn't have done this, but they did it. Okay? First off, they tried to turn Star Wars into something that shouldn't have been. I'm not saying the acolyte couldn't have been great, but if they would have stuck to what George Lucas did in the prequels and the originals, and then just took that and thought of a storyline and wrote it out, and it was actually decent, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So I hate to say this, guys, but rest in peace, Star Wars, because Disney has just killed their biggest IP that they've ever owned. This IP could have made Disney millions, billions, if it was done correctly. Now, we have to look forward to the Skeleton Crew. Are we going to see the same thing that we saw in the Acolyte? If the Skeleton Crew is anything like the Acolyte, we're all in trouble, guys. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be pleasant. It's going to hurt. Will I watch the Skeleton Crew? Maybe. You know, I'll give it the first 3 episodes like I did with the Acolyte. But this stuff has to stop, guys. Star Wars is an IP that we all love. Okay? Everybody out there loves Star Wars. Especially if you're older like me, or you've been watching Star Wars for years. You know, you grew up watching Star Wars. You grew up with the lore. You read the comic books. You read the dark novels. You know, you kept up on the lore. Disney destroyed that tonight. And, you know, I'm a biased person, you know. I usually look at shows and try to give them a really good outlook on life, or a really good outlook on the show. But the Acolyte was just fucking garbage, and I'm sorry for that. But there's certain things that you can't play with. There's certain things. Tracks were laid down. Lines were laid down when George Lucas made the original series, and then he made the prequels. He set a track down where whoever took over could build on what he had laid down for the legacy of Star Wars. In this episode, they basically stomped out Anakin Skywalker and told us flat out he's not that important anymore. Basically, they said Darth Vader is not important anymore. I'm sorry, but Darth Vader is a badass. He's one of the most ruthless guys, one of the most ruthless Sith I've ever seen. But in this show, they made the Jedi look like a bunch of pussies. Which we all know the Jedis were not that. We all know the Jedi were the balance between what was coming and what has happened. The Jedi kept the peace. They were the peacemakers. They didn't pick fights they didn't have to. Yes, did the Jedi have their flaws? Everybody has their flaws, okay? I'm not saying the Jedi were perfect, but there's no reason to go and make a series, an 8 episode series, that basically destroys everything that Star Wars fans has come and loved. Star Wars fans, I apologize for what Disney has done to Star Wars. Will Star Wars get better? No. I've been asked this question 100 times within the last 10 hours. Is Star Wars dead? And I hate to say it, Star Wars fans, but yes, Star Wars has died. Star Wars is going to end up in Disney Plus, and it's going to rot there until somebody decides to get rid of Hedlund and Kennedy and put somebody there who respects the lore. I was watching one of the greatest Star Wars YouTubers that's ever lived, Star Wars Theory, and I watched this guy watch episode 8, and 10 minutes into that episode, he went from smiling to being happy to total dread. It like sucked the happiness right out of him. The guy was so spent on his live stream tonight that I felt bad for him. I felt so angry for what they've done to our beloved Star Wars and what they're trying to do to the lore. They're trying to rewrite the lore that's been around for years. I mean, come on, people. We've watched Star Wars for so long. Yes, I know episode 1, 2, and 3 didn't get the high ratings that everybody, but they made sense. They set up to a bigger story that came in the originals. So, when I look at the Acolyte, and I look what they did to Star Wars, they took everything that Star Wars people know about Star Wars and flushed it directly down the toilet and said, this is not what Star Wars is. This is. We're right. You guys are wrong. Remember, we're all bots. We're all a bunch of grumpy old white men who are not seeing the bigger picture. But what they don't see is we're the ones who goes out and buys the merch. We're the ones who goes out and stands in line for hours on end to get that new ticket to go see a new Star Wars film. We're the ones who go and buy lightsabers. We're the ones who go and buy Funko Pops of Star Wars because that's how much we love the brand. This is gonna be a very long rant. I'm sorry if I'm ranting, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of seeing everything that's going on with Star Wars. I'm sorry, it hurts me. It pulls at my heartstrings. It makes me so frustrated. Star Wars fans, if you're out there, if you see this, agree with me. Send me comments. Send me comments. Let me know what you guys think. Because as far as I know, the Star Wars I loved is gone. And it's never gonna come back. Episode 8 of The Acolyte. Basically, whatever fans were left after this episode, they're not true fans of the Star Wars. They don't love it as much as most people. If you're a Star Wars fan and you actually like The Acolyte, then you're not a true Star Wars fan. And I don't care if I get backlash for this video. I don't care if somebody comes at me for this video. I've seen too many great YouTubers, great reviewers who watch this series and 10 minutes into the episode, they look like they just want to give up. I don't want Star Wars to die like this. We need to come together, Star Wars fans, and we need to fight for the Star Wars legacy. We need to fight against Disney and show them that Star Wars is something much more than a dollar sign. And I hope you guys feel the same. If you do, give a like, give a subscribe, hit me up in the comments, man. I'm always here, Star Wars fans. This Star Wars stuff, we gotta go back to making good Star Wars. We gotta go back to keeping on the lore, to keeping on what was set up all those years ago with George Lucas. If it goes like this for the Skeleton Crew, Star Wars is basically going to be locked in a vault and never touched again, because the so-called creators and writers and producers right now don't care about none of that. They just want the money. And I'm sorry to say, guys, there's so much more to Star Wars than just a dollar sign. Okay? When you make a Star Wars film, you gotta be in love with the franchise. This IP, Star Wars, I've loved it for years. Okay? I'm getting up there in age, I'm pushing 50, and I've been around for almost all of the Star Wars. I've seen the ups, the downs, the ups, the downs. This is the lowest I've ever seen it. Okay? I mean, I'm hearing true Star Wars fans walk away from this series. Shit, I've even heard people come out and say I'm canceling. I heard a story today that this guy never watched Star Wars in his life. Never watched The Acolyte. Watched the first 7 episodes, and by the end of the 7th episode, he turned it off and canceled his Disney Plus account, saying I will never give them another drop of my cash. That hurts. Because Star Wars was that series that would bring the people together. And now it's bringing us together. But the higher ups at Disney think that the hardcore fans, the true fans, don't care. How is that right, people? I don't get it. If I got it, I wouldn't be sitting here tonight talking to you nice people out there, hoping that you feel the same way. So, do me a favor, Star Wars fans. We gotta rise up. We gotta take a stand against Disney. They can't do this to our Star Wars. This is not the Star Wars we came to know and love. This is a mockery of a Star Wars. The Acolyte was not a Star Wars film. The Acolyte, to me, is not canon. Because it basically erased all the lore that was set up in episode 1. You tell me, fans. You tell me, Star Wars fans. Do you think the Acolyte is canon? Because I don't. Honestly. And I don't really care if Disney takes a look at this. I don't care if their lawyers take a look at this. The Acolyte is not canon. Not in my eyes. And if you come out and say it's canon, then you're fucking stupid for doing it. This series basically crapped all over Star Wars. And it's not right, people. It's not right. I'm sorry I had to use some foul language in this episode. Normally I don't come off like this, but this episode really just teed me off. This whole series just teed me off. So I hope you feel the same way I do. I really hope. If you haven't seen the last episode of The Acolyte, it's up to you guys. You can either go watch it or you can't. And I don't blame you if you don't want to watch it, because so many things were wrong in this episode. So by now, mostly everybody has seen it. I hope. Dark Plagueis was introduced in the cave in this episode. But how can that be? If he was in this episode, Dark Plagueis would be 15 years old. How could he be a Dark Sith at 15 years old? How would he be that powerful at 15 years old? So, and now Jedi can erase minds? Think about that. In this episode, they erased one of the twins' minds. How is that possible? That's never been done before in the history of Star Wars. Even going back as far as the comics, the dark novels. Never been done. Never. Same thing with the bleeding of the kyber crystal. That doesn't happen that way. And we all, if you're a true Star Wars fan, you know exactly how you turn a kyber crystal from blue, the good side, to the bad side. There's a long process that has to be done a certain way to make it red. No, they didn't do it. They took an easier route. If you guys haven't seen it yet, don't have any interest in watching it, then watch this video. Watch 100 different videos out there right now about this episode, about this series, and you will see this is not what Star Wars is. This is not what Star Wars was about. This series, The Acolyte, is not Star Wars. And if you do believe this series is Star Wars, then you're fucked. Because this is not Star Wars. This is a show that took bits and pieces from different eras and threw them into an 8-episode series and called it The Acolyte. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize to the people who get offended to this, but you can't tell me you enjoyed this series, because I did not enjoy this series, and I only made it through 3 episodes of this series before I called it quits. But I wanted to wait until the series was over before I posted this. So please, leave me your comments. Leave me your answers if you do believe this series is Star Wars. Because in my eyes and in my heart, this is not Star Wars. These are people who have an agenda. People who try to push their ideas onto other people and hoping it goes okay. My whole thing is, how is Hedlund and Kennedy still have a job after this disaster they called The Acolyte? Why are they still there? Why hasn't Disney or Lucasfilm got rid of them? And I'm hoping that somebody will step in and get rid of those two and try to make something that makes the fans respect Disney and respect Star Wars again, because this was not Star Wars. This was an abomination. And if they did this to Star Wars, what are they gonna do to Marvel? What are they gonna do to the next big IP that comes out? Are they gonna treat all the IPs like they did to Star Wars, where they just want to bury it and forget about it? I hope not. I really hope not, guys. This is getting wrong. I'm at a loss for words. I'm totally dumbfounded about this series. And I know I don't make a lot of videos. I don't post very often. I only post when something has to be said. And shit like the Acolyte has to be stopped. Star Wars has to be treated like royalty. This IP could make anybody, any company, any big movie maker, anybody, any studio who had the right talent, who had the right writers, who had the right producers, could make them billions. And instead, Disney decides to take it, wipe their ass with it, and throw it in the garbage. And that's what they think of us. That's what they think of the fans. They think of the fans as garbage. As old white men who are biased. No, I'm not biased. I've never been biased, okay? I've worked a lot of jobs. I've worked a lot with a lot of people. I know a lot of people, okay? The one thing Star Wars fans are not, we're not biased. We're not old, grumpy old white men who only care about certain things. No, we're not. Most of us just love Star Wars. And all we want is to see Star Wars to be saved. To go back to the glory that was Star Wars. And I hope it happens. I really do. I want somebody to step up and make Star Wars great again. Make Star Wars what it was. I hope it happens, but I don't see it anytime soon. As it comes to Skeleton Crew, like I said, I'll give it 3 episodes. But when it comes down to it, if Headland or Kennedy's name pop up and they say they're doing that show, I will probably not watch it. Because those two have ruined my childhood and ruined most of our childhood. So I leave it up to you guys. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. Leave me a comment down below, dude. Come on, Star Wars fans. We gotta pull together and we gotta stop this. This is horrible. So, yeah, leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe, you know, all the normal BS. But if you're a truly Star Wars fan, you'll subscribe and you'll leave a like and a comment to let me know how your thoughts are on the Acolyte, the entire season 1. We're not gonna get a season 2 because it wasn't that good. It was garbage. And if they try to make a season 2, us as a Star Wars fans need to stop it before it happens. Alright guys, this is Bobby, Snooper's Corner. Thank you for hearing my rant. I'm sorry that I used some foul language in this video. I'm sorry if I offended a lot of people out there, but it had to be said. And I really don't care what anybody else says about this series. This series was garbage. If you liked it, well then that's on you. You just got problems. Me, I'm a Star Wars fan. And I will be till the day I die. So, like I said, Snooper's Corner here. I will see you guys at the next episode. Thank you for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on all notifications. And leave me a comment, man. Let me know what you guys think about this. And please, don't hold nothing back. See you guys in the next one.